We're here to respond to the demand of our membership who wants to do something, and prayer was one of the most powerful things they thought they could do, and it's peaceful, and it's quiet, and it works. We've been saving a lot of lives throughout the country, and here last year we had 6 ladies that came back to us and told us that we had saved their baby. And that was quite encouraging.
As Paul Lauzon with Campaign Life Coalition, a protest vigil taking place just outside the windows of our studio here at Sun News Network. You don't see any windows behind me, but there's windows in the building, trust me. They are holding vigil outside of the Morgentaler Abortion Clinic, which is just steps from Parliament Hill. What are they doing? What is it all about? Well, we're joined by Jack Fonseca from Toronto on this, because this is a protest that goes across the country. Mr. Fonseca, thanks for coming in.
No problem.
Explain the idea of 40 days for life. Why 40 days? What are you doing? What's the goal here?
Certainly. Well, first of all, Campaign Life Coalition brought 40 Days for Life into Canada after witnessing tremendous success with it in the United States, where it first began around 2004-2005. And our first campaign that we started and seeded was in Ottawa and Halifax in 2007. Okay. And what it is, 40 Days for Life, is a focused campaign of 3 elements: prayer and fasting, peaceful, constant vigil, and community outreach, to make the community right across the country, but especially right in our backyards, aware of the evil of abortion. And
so, let me just ask you, because you are in front of abortion clinics, are you out there yelling and screaming? Are you getting in people's faces? Are you trying to stop people, specifically women, from going into the clinics to have their abortion?
No, this is very peaceful, and you used at the intro, you used the word protest. We don't use that at all. This is not a protest, it's a prayer vigil. It's a peaceful vigil. People are literally on their knees outside these abortion facilities and hospitals where abortions are performed, praying. You know, you'll see Catholic prayer volunteers praying the rosary on their knees. You know, all sorts of Christians and people of faith out there just peacefully, quietly praying, perhaps holding a sign that says "Pray to End Abortion," 40 Days for Life, or a larger 10-foot banner that's common in these campaigns. And where the prayer volunteers have an opportunity to interact with the women coming in for abortion, if they do have that opportunity to interact, it's an offer of speaking to them, doing some sidewalk counseling, offering them information about the humanity of the unborn child that they carry in their womb, and talking to them about crisis pregnancy alternatives, or sorry, a crisis pregnancy center. Have you considered that? And we're there after as well. The prayer volunteers, many of these women unfortunately do choose to go ahead with the abortion despite the prayerful witness. And we're there with information for post-abortion healing after the fact as well. And
well, let me ask you though, because here in Ottawa, we've got about half a dozen people standing across the street. They've got security guards out front so they can't go in. We've talked about the case of Linda Gibbons on this show before. There's a bubble zone around several abortion centers in Toronto. They're not even allowed to go near the place, or they get arrested, thrown in jail for longer than some murderers have been. So what does standing across the street and praying accomplish? Does it actually do anything to further your goals?
Well, it absolutely does, and the numbers bear it out. There have been, since the first 40 Days for Life campaign, and the national headquarters of 40 Days for Life keeps track of reports of turnarounds. And a turnaround, I mean, by a turnaround, I mean women who've changed their minds and are keeping their baby. And there have been 4,313 documented turnarounds, and that's 4,313 babies whose lives have been saved, spared death by abortion.
Is that just in Canada, or is that across North America?
That's across, in fact, that's across North America. In Canada, for instance, the Toronto campaign, there's been over 3 dozen babies saved in that city. In Ottawa, you just spoke to Paul Lauzon in Ottawa. Their very first campaign, they had 3 babies saved from abortion. The following campaign was 6. And these are campaigns that in some cities they do them twice a year, in other cities, in other communities once a year. Besides the lives saved, we got to think of the human element here. Women are being spared, thousands of women are being spared the trauma that often comes with the decision to abort their own child. And there are statistics, there are studies that are done. For instance, one that shows that 15 years after women had an abortion, when they were surveyed about it, 75% of those who had made a choice to abort regretted that decision and in fact said that it was the wrong decision. And there's another study that shows that 64% of women who choose abortion did so because they felt some sort of external pressure to abort, often by a boyfriend, a husband, a parent, maybe even a family doctor who says to them, hey, I don't think you should continue with this pregnancy. I think abortion...
Yeah, often, it's not surprising it often is, because women are more supportive of abortion than, or men are more supportive than women, the polls show. I want to ask you about a couple things. One, what kind of reception do you get on the street? As I was outside with our camera guy talking to Mr. Lauzon, people were flipping the bird, kind of like the CBC president, flipping the bird at them. They were yelled at. Is there a lot of heckling involved? And two, how much of that heckling comes about because of some of the graphic posters and content that you carry?
Actually, at the 40 Days for Life campaigns, graphic images are not allowed. Those are different types of campaigns. Generally speaking,
so you just show a regular child in the womb,
yeah, a child in the womb. There's an official banner that's available for 40 Days for Life campaigns that shows a child in the womb at 7 weeks, and you can see a fully formed baby at 7 weeks in the womb, and that's a powerful image. There's a scripture verse that says, I formed you before I knew you, I formed you in the womb, God. So it is very peaceful. And the message gets across. You asked what sort of response do we get? I'll tell you, it is varied. We get a lot of honks from cars driving by that are supportive. In fact, the majority are. But we do get a lot of abuse, a lot of swear words hurled at us at the Prayer Volunteers. Sometimes it's very, very rare. But sometimes people will throw a bottle of water out the car or a can or something to try and hit the Prayer Volunteers. Those are pro-choice folks, of course, driving by. Generally, not generally, always, the Prayer Volunteers are really moved by their experience. The first-time Prayer Volunteers who come out, they are so moved by their experience of being out there praying and being there spiritually to support the victim of abortion, which is the child in the womb, and also to support the mothers, the women who in so many cases don't really want an abortion. For them, it's not about freedom to choose. They're doing this because they feel they have no freedom and no choice, and they're having all these external pressures that make them feel pigeonholed into this terrible decision that will cause them a lot of pain and trauma throughout their entire lives.
All right, Jack Fonseca with Campaign Life Coalition. 40 Days for Life starts now. We'll end 40 days from now. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.